So that brings pretty much up to date. That was the combat we'd seen. It took about a week before all of us could get together. And then we attacked Carentan. That Carentan and Rouen had to be joined to make this major beachhead a success. The Germans were filtering out of Carentan toward us, and I ran patrols out from Carentan to Les Billionaires, and on a Sunday, Father Sampson held Mass on the hood of a Jeep and used a parachute as part of covered the Jeep. 56 artillery shells came in and exploded around us. He told us to go to our companies to get out of there. We said no, we just dug in deeper. 13 of them were duds. So it is, the next couple of days we were there keeping hold of that hill because they had good observation. I went out on patrols at night, and the password was water belt. Not to create any problems, but just to observe. We got about 1.5 miles out, and telephone poles were down there made of concrete and copper wires. You'd step on a copper wire, you didn't see it, and go twang, you could hear it going down. So we figured tonight we're not going to be successful, we're going to alert everybody. Well, on the left side of the road, about 1 mile out, there was a house. It raised a little bit above the road, and an outhouse next to it. And as we approached that, I saw it. I told Van Buskirk and Tony Doss to stop. And we had 2 rifles and a submachine gun. And so I saw a shadow on the edge of the house and heard a door creak. Probably the outhouse door. So I yelled, water. And I got back. Und Wasser gitten? What, water again? So I was convinced that's probably Germans or Frenchmen who could speak German, but the latter part was probably not true. And then the door creaked again, so we just leveled off with some shots into the outhouse, and then the figure disappeared on the side. Well, that was all. We weren't supposed to do that, so we backed up out of there. Came back, and as we approached our point of entry, we gave water belt as the code and got in. The next day we went out again, passed the same house, but made a big U around it, because don't know what's going on there. Came to a fork in the road, took the right-hand fork, and back in about 200 yards off the road was a farmhouse and 2 or 3 barns. In front of the barns and the farmhouse were pasture land cordoned off with barbed wire, and a road that led right up to it. Oh, I saw that. I figured there's probably snipers in there. We better be careful. And as I did, we 3 stopped right on the side of the road, and one of them, Robert J. Cahoon, went up to the fence and checked the fence, found it locked, and sniper got him right there. I mean, it's crazy. He got him right square in the head, and no silent, no move, nothing. You didn't even hear a shot. Because more than likely the sniper had probably 100 or 200 grains of powder in his shell, a silencer, and he had a route to get out in a big hurry. So he was probably an advanced group trying to get out of Rouen in that area. So he was dead immediately. So we pulled him across the road and got him into a ditch and checked him out. In his helmet, he had you wouldn't believe this. We didn't believe it either until we saw it. He had a deck, he had a card, ace of spades. And that bullet went right through the ace. I can't believe this stuff. So he was too big to carry. So we got him off into the woods and then made a loop around that house that we first came through on, and told him we got an injured man there, better send out a whole patrol out in a Jeep and pick him up, and they did. His brother, living in Grand Rapids, Michigan, it was a commemoration for his killed brother. And I saw it in the newspaper, and I contacted him and told him how his brother was killed, because he had 3 or 4 different scenarios on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had it written up in my book. So I sent him a copy of the book. I had never seen him. I was supposed to go to see him. I was never able to do it. But anyway, we got back in, and they retrieved him. And then time was getting pretty close to 35, 37 days. We moved back to Iceville and St. Côme de Mont in that area. And then we rested at Basin afloat and Tup Tits. And then from there, by July 30th something, 27th, we were back in England. And we had training. We had 38% casualties. For those casualties, we got recruits and replacements, and the replacement had a problem because the replacement represented a dead buddy, and the replacements were not accepted because they looked upon the replacement and he saw nothing but his dead buddy there. And the replacements heard these war stories and were getting really nervous about it, and they weren't accepted. So this is a bad thing for a replacement. It took about 6 weeks before we could really get these guys oriented. But afterwards, they worked it out okay, but they never picked a target.